And when I graduated, TOEFL IBT was just gearing up for launch. That was back in 2003. And I specialized in speaking assessment, and TOEFL IBT just added a speaking section. So it was a perfect opportunity for me. So my first assignment actually was to participate in this item writing institute for the TOEFL IBT speaking section, where I actually learned a lot about how speaking items were produced and were edited and were finalized. So take speaking as an example, since that's my area of expertise. When scoring speaking responses, raters actually consider many aspects of the quality. So it's not just about pronunciation, it's not just about fluency. And, you know, in speaking, we measure the abilities to speak clearly, so that's your pronunciation, right? To use intonation and pauses appropriately to pace speech and convey meaning. Intonation patterns, you know, it's actually very important. We test your ability to use vocabulary and also grammar to express meaning precisely. And it's all about communication, whether they interfere with meaning. And if you make some minor grammatical errors, and even test takers at the top level make some errors, either pronunciation or word use errors or grammatical errors. As long as these errors actually do not interfere with communication, that, you know, we understand each other and you could express your meaning precisely, and you could still get a perfect score. Pronunciation and fluency are only two of the many criteria that we use to score speaking. And as I said, there are other criteria include intonation, stress, right? Vocabulary, grammar, organization, coherence, and content. And pronunciation is obviously very important, but you don't need to have a native-like accent to get a perfect score. And that's very important. That's a very important message to communicate to test takers, because I think they are probably too obsessed about native-like accent. And as I said, many speakers at the top level speak with some accent, but their speech is very clear and comprehensible, and so they still get a perfect score. And with regard to speech rate, I wouldn't say the faster the better. You want to pace your speech well so that you can convey your message effectively. And I'm sure if you have listened to presentations, and you've probably come across speakers who speak so fast that they actually lose the audience. So you have to use pauses very effectively to convey your meaning, to convey your message. And I think that's very important. And especially when you have a poor pronunciation and you try to speak very fast, and that actually would work against you, because then your speech will become incomprehensible to the rater, and then think they would actually mark you down for not understanding your speech. So that's why I would say it's not the faster the better, and you really want to well pace your speech, because they don't have a whole lot of practice in using English for communicative purposes. They tend to use a lot of big words when they speak. Some of the words are actually better suited for writing than speaking. Right? They don't use very colloquial expressions. So I think when you listen to these real-world interactions, it will be a good practice to keep a list of oral expressions that these speakers use that may express similar meaning as those words that you often see in written text, right? So, for example, in spoken discourse, you might say, just to recap what I've said. and but in writing, you usually say in summary. This is my opinion. So if you keep a list of these oral expressions that you hear in speech, they will help your speech sound more colloquial. The only way to improve your English is to put them to use, right? And if you think about everyday conversational English, and when you watch movies and TV, you learn a lot more than from a classroom.